Have you ever looked at the ultra-successful and wondered, how do they think so differently from the rest of us? Why is it that just 1% of the population seems to live in an entirely different world? One filled with power, influence, freedom, and abundance, while the remaining 99% struggle to keep up. Trapped in routines they didn't choose, chasing dreams they quietly gave up on. This isn't just about money, it's not just about luck, and it's definitely not about privilege alone. There's something deeper going on. Retire at 65. But the top 1% learn something far more powerful: leverage. They understand that time is finite, but systems, capital, networks, and knowledge can multiply their efforts. The truth is, the top 1% don't just act differently, they think differently. And what you can start doing today to shift your mindset toward that elite level of performance, clarity, and power. While others settle for what's familiar, the top 1% are constantly reinventing themselves. They embrace discomfort as the price of evolution. Their entire mental operating system is built around principles that challenge everything most people accept as normal. The top 1% don't wait. They take ownership of everything. Their decisions, their failures, their future. This extreme level of responsibility gives them control, and control leads to power. If you believe your life is shaped entirely by external forces, you'll always be a victim. But when you adopt a mindset of total ownership, you become the author of your own story. And if you've felt stuck, frustrated, or constantly left behind, how can I make results happen without doing all the work myself? This is why they invest in businesses, build teams, automate processes, and scale their impact. They use money to buy time and use that time to create more value. They resist the urge to chase what's hot now and instead focus on what will matter most later. This patience gives them an edge, because while the crowd burns out chasing the next shiny object, they are quietly building empire. They understand the compounding power of long-term thinking. While others chase trends, distractions, and quick wins, they are building foundations that last for decades. It's a cycle that feeds on itself. And once you grasp the power of leverage, everything changes. There is a good chance it has less to do with your circumstances and more to do with the way you've been trained to think. The top 1% are relentless questioners, always seeking new angles, new insights, and new solutions. They train their minds to look beyond the obvious and think in dimensions others overlook. Most people ask disempowering ones, why is this happening to me? Why can't I catch a break? But a top 1% ask questions that expand their perspective and fuel their progress. What can I learn from this? How can I turn this into an opportunity? Who can help me get there faster? So, let's peel back the curtain. Let's explore how the top 1% think, why it matters. They think in terms of leverage, not labor. Most people are taught to trade time for money, go to school, get a job, work hard, climb the ladder. Instead of asking, how can I do more work? They don't seek comfort. They seek growth. The average person chases comfort, a stable job, a predictable life, a weekend to relax. But the top 1% are wired differently. They understand that real fulfillment doesn't come from ease, it comes from growth. They seek challenges that stretch them, environments that demand more, and goals that feel almost out of reach. They are willing to be uncomfortable because they know that's where transformation happens. They take full ownership, no excuses, no blame. The world is filled with people waiting for permission, waiting for someone to rescue them, promote them, or hand them an opportunity. When something goes wrong, they don't point fingers. They look in the mirror. They play the long game in a world obsessed with instant gratification. The top 1% operate on a different timeline. They invest in relationships that pay off over time. They plant seeds that won't bear fruit for years. They ask better questions. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your questions. Questions are mental steering wheels. If you keep asking the wrong ones, you'll keep driving in circles. They obsess over habits, not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you feel inspired, some days you don't. The top 1% don't rely on how they feel. They build systems. They build habits. They understand that discipline beats emotion every time. They create routines that protect their energy, routines that build momentum, and routines that keep them aligned with their goals, even when life gets messy. Every setback, every mistake, every rejection becomes data. They ask, what went wrong? What can I do differently? What is this trying to teach me? They don't wait to feel ready. They show up, they take action, and in doing so, they build confidence that lasts longer than any motivational quote. They see failure as feedback. They extract the lesson, adjust the strategy, and keep moving. This constant cycle of testing, learning, and iterating is what separates the elite from the average. While others fear failure, they use it as fuel. They think in terms of value. They ask, how can I create something that makes people's lives better? How can I solve meaningful problems at scale? Where most people see failure as a dead end, the top 1% see it as information. This mindset allows them to move fast. They don't get stuck in shame or the top 1% start before they're ready. They understand that clarity comes from action, not contemplation. They experiment, they learn by doing, This speed gives them an unfair advantage. While others are still planning, they're already and with every action, they gain momentum that compounds over time. The top 1% design their surroundings with intention. They curate who they spend time with, what they consume, and what they allow into their mental space. They understand that environment is everything, and ironically, it's this focus on giving rather than getting that ends up generating extraordinary wealth. They challenge assumptions. They refuse to accept that things have to be the way they've always been. They invest in their knowledge like it is the most valuable asset they own, because it is. They treat their minds like a bank that pays exponential interest. And over time, the gap between those who consume knowledge and those who consume distraction becomes impossible to ignore. Society trains conformity, not creativity. It rewards obedience, not ownership. It encourages comfort, not courage. Its mindset. The top 1% live in a world where possibilities expand, not shrink. And that belief is contagious. It spreads to their teams, their businesses, and their entire lives. Because in the end, the market rewards those who serve it best. You become like the people you associate with. You adopt the norms of the groups you're part of. And if you want to elevate your life, you have to elevate your environment first. And the question is, what will you do with this insight? Will you go back to the old way of thinking? Or will you start reshaping your mindset to match the level of life you truly want? Willpower is overrated. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. They know that success is not just about personal strength, it's about strategic exposure. They focus on impact, not just income. While income is a byproduct of success, it's rarely the core focus for the top 1%. This obsession with impact drives innovation. It builds trust. It attracts opportunity. They don't need permission to start. Most people wait for approval, wait for certainty, wait for the perfect time. They move quickly. They value learning more than entertainment. The average person spends hours scrolling, watching, escaping. The top 1% are obsessed with learning. They read, they study, they seek. Every book, every course, every conversation becomes a tool in their arsenal. They redefine what's possible. The biggest difference between the top 1% and everyone else is belief. They believe they can do more, be more, achieve more. They question limits. This mindset isn't delusional, it's powerful. Because once you believe something is possible, your brain starts looking for ways to make it real. So why have you been left behind? Not because you're not capable, not because you're not smart enough, but because no one taught you how to think like this. But now, you've seen the blueprint. You've heard the patterns. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not talent, it's not luck. Shift the way you think, and you'll shift everything else. The top 1% aren't superhuman. They've just learned to think in ways that most people never will. But now you can. And once you do, you'll realize you were never left behind. You were just thinking the wrong